Today, I want to talk a bit about Lift HTML, and I just want to note that I learned about web components from Astro, the way that they're using them, and you can blame Astro. What I saw is that they will have those components that will do basic functionality like add an event listener, uh, uh, do tiny DOM manipulations while something happens. And for the most part, they just use web components as kind of like a jQuery selector, right? Sorry for the flashbang. So I took this whole idea and turned it into this library. I'm calling it Lift HTML because it's just tiny bit above regular HTML. What it allows you to do is it gives you ability to use Solid inside of your web components, and you do mostly the same things where you just search for some buttons right inside of your component. You will add on click event listener, and when something happens you will just go and like modify exactly what you need. But it goes a bit more kind of like production ready than than what Astro has, right? It allows you to have TypeScript definitions for just regular HTML, Solid, React, so on. So you can use it kind of like in anywhere you want. Because it's such a tiny wrapper, because it doesn't do too much, the bundle size is actually pretty good. So here I'm getting 4 and something kilobytes gzip. This is actually as bad as it gets, and you can go kind of like smaller if you're using less functions. So and it can go bigger if you use like render functions or something like that from Solid. But the good part is that this library is actually public domain, so whatever you can just like copy paste copy paste your implementation, right? And it's like, well, if I'm not using some part of it, right, if I'm not using for example like that reactive attributes, I can just remove them, rebuild them, and like make my bundle even smaller, right? um the whole code is there. um just pick whatever you like. And it also has all the kind of like documentation how to do TypeScript for your components. And just kind of like as a note of how kind of like complicated it gets, right? You can use just some like helpers from Solid, like insert or class name. That's kind of like how I usually use it, so that when this counter changes, you can update that text, right? When this class changes, you can use it, but you can also go kind of like fancier. So here I have example of HTML function, lit, sorry, template literal, right? Kind of like lit style. So you can write all of this way. If you have a JavaScript compiler set up in build tools and so on, you can actually just use JSX, and that's how I use it a lot as well. The kind of like the downside is that then you have to kind of like figure out where you're rendering it, right? But in this example, I'm actually using Shadow DOM, and Shadow DOM with like you would expect that you are going to render something client side. So this works out perfectly. Um, and I think that's it. Yeah, I hope you like it.